I researched financial literacy. I first became interested in this topic after taking our high school's required economics course. Since then, I've been interested to learn more about how budget is formed, as well as effective ways that one can manage their money. So my research question was, how can students develop a lifelong strategy to plan for their financial future? To begin answering this question, I looked to see the effect that financial literacy had had on adults' lives. According to the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, 29% of adults have no money saved for retirement, 34% have no savings, 60% have no budget, and 24% do not pay their bills on time. So I then looked to see how these results were reflected in high school learning. A great source I used was from the Champlin College of Finance. So what the college did is it looked at each state's high school financial requirements, and then it assigned each state a letter grade from A to F. So the survey was based on if the high school required the student to take a financial course before they graduated, as well as if the school assessed the student's knowledge in any way. From the survey, it was found that they would only give 5 states an A, and Virginia was actually one of those states, so that meant they had satisfactory financial requirements for high school. Another major issue with financial learning is the way that these courses are set up. So many financial courses are taught either online or in a lecture-based environment. However, the U.S. Department of Education recommends using a problem-based style learning method. So problem-based learning is students working together in groups to solve real-world problems. So this is different than a lecture. So students actually get to experience the material and work with it rather than just taking notes and looking at the slides on a PowerPoint. So I came up with 3 different solutions. My first 2 solutions are ways that adults out in the world now can improve their financial situation. And my third solution is a way for high schools to implement these solutions. So my first solution is creating a budget. While this may sound very simple, 60% of adults have no budget. It is recommended that people put at least 20% of their income into a savings account each month. That's a really important part of a budget. This savings account could be an emergency fund, it could be a college savings account, it could be retirement savings account, it could be anything. It's also advised that people have at least 6 months worth of income saved up in case an emergency occurs. So my second solution is to create goals. So there are 2 major types of goals. There are short-term goals and long-term goals. Short-term goals take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months to accomplish. Long-term goals, however, take much longer and they require much more planning. They can take anywhere from a few months to many, many years. So a common example of a long-term goal is purchasing a house. So before an individual goes to purchase a house, they have to look at how much it's going to cost, and they have to figure out how much they're going to need to take out in loans or for a mortgage. So an important aspect of this is looking at how much you have to take out, how much interest will grow on the loan, as well as how much the person will have to pay off each month, and how much the interest will add to the cost of the final loan. A more relevant example for students our age is taking out college loans. So while choosing a college that fits you is very important, it's also important to look at the price of college. And students have to look at how large their loans will be, how much they have to take out in loans, and how long it'll take to pay off those loans. So my final solution, as I said, is a way to implement these ideas into the high school learning environment. And so I call this the week of finance. This would be a week filled with activities students could do to teach them more about finances. There would be guest speakers. Students could work in groups to solve problems, which would implement the recommended problem-based style learning. So for my internship, I worked with Mr. Stephen Engel. He is a financial advisor at Ameriprise Financial. So as a financial advisor, he works with his clients to help them plan for their retirement. Much of my internship was spent sitting in on client meetings. So I got to sit in on about 4 different client meetings. He meets with each of his clients about once a year, and the meetings last for about an hour. In addition to sitting in on these meetings, I also got to work with the 3 other employees of the company, and I learned a little bit more about what they did, and as well as learning more about the software that the company used to keep track of all the clients' information. So my favorite part of my internship was definitely getting to sit in on the client meetings. So I remember the first client meeting I sat in on was an elderly lady. She was already in retirement, so she wasn't focused so much on saving money. But Mr. Engel was helping her set a monthly budget, so that her retirement savings would last throughout her life. So one neat thing about the program that they used for the company is that it kind of graphs out like how your savings are going to look based on your spending. So what they would do is they would input all your monthly spending and your income and how much you'd had saved. And so what Mr. Engel told me is you want the graph to gradually increase and then slowly decrease, but it's never supposed to cross the x-axis, which is you have no money. Well, with this woman, she was not following her budget, so her graph sharply decreased and it hit the zero before like her expected lifetime. So I thought that was interesting to then compare it to another client meeting I sat in, which was with a younger couple. They were more focused on saving up for college for their children, as well as saving to purchase a new house. So it was kind of interesting to get to see two different aspects of saving and budgeting and how people spend their money on different things, and that has to be accounted for in a budget. I also thought it was really cool that he got to spend so much time working face-to-face with his clients. Before going to my internship, I thought that he would probably spend most of his time on the computer and it would be a little bit boring to see. But it was actually really interesting. He probably spent about half of his time at least talking face-to-face with his clients. So for my community service, I worked with Mr. David Winter. He is the Habitat for Humanity store manager. So I worked with him to create this spreadsheet seen here. There are much more parts to it. This is just one page of it. This keeps track of how much money the organization is spending each month. So he gave me kind of like a list of requirements for what he wanted on the spreadsheet. And one of the things he wanted was a year-end page that he'd be able to print out and show others in the organization. So as you can see here, this shows how much was spent each month, and then it shows the percentage of the total spend that was spent in each month. So he could see which months were the largest months where money was spent. It then shows how much they spent in the year, how much income they had, and then here's just a visual to show all the other information that was on the spreadsheet. So it just reiterates this. I did this as my community service because I was interested to see how personal finances differ from finances in a larger organization. So for the legacy aspect of my project, I worked with Ms. Cassandra Riggin. She is an employee at the UVA Community Credit Union. So I worked with her to set up a financial presentation at my school. So this presentation took place on Friday, March 3rd. It ran 2 different times and it ran in our PAC. So to do this presentation, I had to work with a lot of different people to get it set up. So I worked with our principal to get the PAC set up. I worked with the theater department to get the lighting and sound set up. I worked with the librarian to get the projector set up. And then I worked with my Burbick's advisor to send out an email to all the different teachers asking them to bring their students to this presentation. So it was only open to seniors. Some juniors were allowed to attend because a lot of classes are mixed. So this presentation took place on Friday, March 3rd. At the beginning of the presentation, I gave her a short introduction, and then she proceeded to give a 50-minute long presentation. The presentation she gave was called Smart Start to College. It covered topics such as creating a budget, taking out student loans, and she talked a lot about protecting one's identity in college, which I thought was really interesting. After the presentation, students were allowed to ask questions, and there were handouts they were welcome to take. I heard lots of helpful feedback from a lot of my peers. They said they really enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that it can be implemented in further years. So from doing my internship, I learned that I really enjoy learning about finances. So before my internship, these past few years, I've been trying out different interests to see if they lead to any career pathways. However, until this internship, I had not found any that did. I really liked how Mr. Engel got to not only work face-to-face with his clients, but there was also a problem-solving aspect to his job. When I did this internship, I really enjoyed that. I felt like I could see myself doing a job similar to his as a career. And that was just really cool to experience since I never felt that before. So my advice to future Burbick seniors is to have your internship set up over the summer. I was among one of the last students to get my internship set up, and it was mostly due to the fact that I was set on interning in a financial field, and most companies are not willing to have an intern come in just for 3 days because there's so much private client information that I wouldn't be allowed to have access to. So I would suggest having your internship set up over summer, that way you're not stressed about it at the beginning of the school year, which lines up with applying for colleges and other stuff like that. I wouldn't, however, really interesting to get to do my research for my paper at the same time as I was doing my internship. I thought it was cool to see how they kind of connected. So in the fall, I plan on attending Virginia Tech. I will major in systems engineering, but I hope to get a minor in business or finance. Thank you. Are there any questions? Yes.
There are issues being discussed now around predatory lenders. Lenders may be going after college kids. I was wondering, did that come up in your research at all?
No, it actually.
How that might play into debt or not being able to save?
No, I've read more about how some students are kind of unaware, like when they're taking out college loans, how maybe the interest rate is really high, or how that works, and because they're so young, lenders can get them to take out those loans because they need loans for college, and they're not really sure about how much the interest is actually going to grow. But no, I did not read about that. Yes.
All students now are required to take economics and personal finance. Do you feel like there's some areas really specific that maybe we should focus on a little more in terms of teaching students about finances and recovery?
So, for most students taking Burbick's courses, we took our economics course over summer, so it was kind of an abridged version. So I felt like I could have learned more if I took the full year version. I feel like they cover a lot more topics in the full year version, but since I didn't take that class, I don't feel like I can accurately judge that.
Thank you.